They signed up to play heroes, villains, and legends, but no one told them they'd leave the set with scars that never healed. From shattered bones to damaged brains, Hollywood's obsession with the perfect shot has left some actors with more than just awards. It's left them permanently injured. Whether it was a high-speed chase gone wrong or a stunt that pushed too far, these stars paid a brutal price for their roles, and some never fully recovered. First up, Brandon Lee, the rising star whose final scene became a real-life tragedy. He was young, magnetic, and destined to follow in the legendary footsteps of his father, Bruce Lee. But in 1993, Brandon stepped onto the set of The Crow and never stepped off. It was supposed to be a breakthrough role. Dark, gritty, and poetic, just like Brandon's energy. But in one haunting scene, his character is shot by intruders. Simple enough, right? A blank-loaded prop gun, a bit of acting cut, and move on. But something went horribly wrong. The gun was not properly cleared. A fragment from a dummy round was still lodged in the barrel. When a blank was fired, it acted like a live bullet. Brandon was hit in the abdomen. At first, the crew thought he was just really committed to the scene. But when he didn't get up, panic set in. He was rushed to the hospital, underwent hours of surgery, but it was too late. Brandon Lee died at just 28 years old, the same eerie age his father was when he died under mysterious circumstances. His death sparked outrage over unsafe film sets, and The Crow was released posthumously, with body doubles and early CGI finishing his final moments on screen. It became a cult classic, but at what cost? Next up, Jason Statham, the action man who almost didn't make it out alive. We all know him as the tough guy. The no-nonsense, butt-kicking machine who dives out of planes, drives like a maniac, and punches his way through explosions, all without breaking a sweat. But during the filming of The Expendables 3, that invincible image nearly turned into a real-life obituary. It started like any other day on set. A stunt sequence involving a heavy-duty truck, a dock, and of course, Jason behind the wheel. But as cameras rolled, something went very wrong. The brakes failed. Completely. No warning. No control. Just a truck barreling toward open water with Statham trapped inside. The crew watched in horror as the truck plunged off the dock and sank. For a few terrifying seconds, there was silence. No bubbles. No movement. Everyone thought they'd just witnessed a man die on camera. But Jason? That man swam out of a sunken truck like it was just another day at the gym. No stunt double. No CGI. Just raw survival. What fans didn't know was the toll it took. The water pressure, the impact, the trauma. It left him with back pain and lingering joint damage that still haunts him. But you won't hear him complain, because in true Statham fashion, he just kept going like nothing happened. Now let's talk about Jackie Chan, the human stunt reel who turned his body into a punching bag for our entertainment. Forget green screens. Forget doubles. Jackie Chan made a career out of saying, "I'll do it myself." And while that gave us some of the most jaw-dropping action scenes in cinema history, it also gave him a lifetime of pain. Want to know how committed Jackie is? On the set of Armor of God in 1986, he leaped from a tree onto a rocky slope, a stunt that looked wild on paper and even crazier in reality. But mid-air, he lost control. He cracked his skull on a rock. Not bruised. Cracked. The impact pushed a piece of bone into his brain. He needed emergency brain surgery. Doctors had to insert a metal plate into his head. And to this day, he still has partial hearing loss in his right ear. And that was just one stunt. Jackie has dislocated his shoulders, broken his fingers, nose, ankles, cheekbones, and even his pelvis. Most people wouldn't survive one of these injuries. Jackie survived all of them and kept going. Why? Because he believed the audience deserved real action. He once fell from a clock tower, landed on his neck, and got up laughing. But behind the scenes, he was barely holding himself together. Next up, Dylan O'Brien, the teen heartthrob who nearly lost his life for a movie that fans barely remember. He stole hearts in Teen Wolf and broke out as the leading man in the Maze Runner series. But during the filming of Maze Runner, The Death Cure in 2016, things went horribly wrong. And this time, it wasn't just a stunt gone bad, it was a career almost wiped out. Dylan was performing a dangerous sequence involving two speeding vehicles. He was supposed to jump from one moving car to another. Simple, right? Until he was pulled under and violently crushed. He fractured his face, suffered a concussion, and had brain trauma so severe he was barely recognizable. His injuries were so gruesome, production shut down for 6 months, and many thought he'd never act again. But the physical wounds weren't the only scars. Dylan later opened up about the mental toll, the anxiety, the fear, the long road to recovery. He even questioned if he could ever walk onto a set again. That crash didn't just break his bones, it broke his spirit. Yet somehow he came back, slowly, carefully, and on his own terms. And now, Daniel Day-Lewis, the man who took method acting so far, his body never fully recovered. Most actors pretend to be someone else. Daniel Day-Lewis? He transforms. But sometimes, that transformation comes at a brutal cost, and the role that nearly broke him wasn't some superhero stunt fest. It was a historical drama. During the filming of Gangs of New York, Daniel refused to wear modern winter coats to stay warm, because in the 1860s, those didn't exist. Instead, he wore threadbare period-accurate rags in freezing temperatures. The result? He contracted pneumonia on set. But that's just the beginning. For My Left Foot, he stayed in a wheelchair the entire shoot, insisting crew members carry him around and feed him to stay in character. The result? He damaged 2 ribs so badly that he still suffers pain from it decades later. And in The Last of the Mohicans, he learned to hunt, build canoes, and live off the land. He even refused to eat anything he didn't kill or scavenge, because why not throw malnutrition into the mix? It wasn't just acting for Daniel, it was full-body possession. But with every award he won came a physical price, a broken rib, a damaged lung, a body pushed past its limits. Eventually, it caught up with him. He retired in 2017, walking away from acting altogether. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. And then there's Tom Cruise, the man who said, "Stunt doubles? Never heard of him." Let's get one thing straight. Tom doesn't just act in action movies, he lives them. From hanging off planes midair to scaling the Burj Khalifa with nothing but a wire and a death wish. Cruise is basically a one-man demolition crew. And eventually, reality caught up. During the filming of Mission Impossible Fallout, Tom was supposed to jump from one rooftop to another. Easy, right? For him, that's a warm-up. But this time, he didn't make the landing. He slammed into the edge of a building, shattered his ankle, and still, get this, pulled himself up and finished the take before collapsing. You can literally see the injury in the final film. That's his real pain, real limp, real broken bone. But wait, that's just the tip of the insane iceberg. In The Last Samurai, he was nearly decapitated when a mechanical horse malfunctioned during a sword scene. In Edge of Tomorrow, he got hit by a car. And in Top Gun, Maverick, he actually flew fighter jets. Because of course he did. He's suffered cracked ribs, busted knees, and multiple concussions. And that's just what's been confirmed. At this point, Tom's spine probably qualifies for its own insurance policy. But why does he do it? Simple. He says the audience deserves the real deal. No CGI, no fear, just pure, unfiltered Cruise madness. Next up, Sylvester Stallone, the man who wrote the book on pain and then let life write it all over his body. When you think of Sly, you think of Rocky, Rambo, Raw Muscle, and Bloody Knuckles. But behind those iconic roles is a body held together by pins, plates, and pure willpower. Let's rewind to Rocky IV, 1985. Stallone wanted the fight scenes to feel real, so he told Dolph Lundgren, a.k.a. Ivan Drago, to stop pulling punches. Big mistake. One hit to the chest, and Sly's heart literally slammed against his breastbone. He ended up in intensive care for days. The doctors said the trauma resembled what they'd expect from a head-on car crash. That's how real it got. But it didn't stop there. During The Expendables, Stallone broke his neck in a brutal fight scene with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That injury led to a metal plate being surgically inserted, just so he could move again. Over the years, he's fractured ribs, snapped tendons, and shredded shoulders. He's had back surgeries, spinal fusions, and more than 17 operations, all for the sake of realism. He even admitted that pain became his daily companion. And here's the wild part. He did most of it willingly. He chased the danger. Why? Because to Stallone, if the audience didn't believe it, it wasn't worth filming. Now here's a Hollywood horror story they don't teach in film school. Margaret Hamilton, the original Wicked Witch of the West, who got burned, literally, by movie magic gone wrong. In The Wizard of Oz, she terrified generations with her green skin, high-pitched cackle, and vanishing tricks. But what most people don't know, that green paint, toxic, that smoke-filled set, dangerous, and that fiery trapdoor exit in Munchkinland, a recipe for disaster. During filming, Margaret was supposed to vanish in a cloud of smoke and flames. Classic witch stuff. But someone messed up the timing. The trapdoor didn't open fast enough. The flames exploded while she was still on the platform. She caught fire. Her green copper-based makeup ignited, searing into her face, and second- and third-degree burns scorched her hands and chin. The pain was so intense, she refused painkillers just so her skin could heal properly. She spent 6 weeks in the hospital and came back to set only after being promised there'd be no more fire stunts. But the nightmare didn't end there. The green makeup had to be removed with alcohol and acetone, which left her skin raw and damaged. Oh, and it was so toxic she couldn't eat while wearing it or risk poisoning herself. She gave an unforgettable performance and paid for it with scars that lasted the rest of her life.